You're listening to Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 with your host, Sean L. Let and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100. 100. 100.
Tell me that you love me, yeah. Tell me something good.
Hey, everybody, I want you to know we got a great show for you. And we got a icon in the financial world, Robin Carol Cunningham, the only black woman VP in the nation, has given up her spot and retired. We're going to talk to her today, and y'all going to learn a lot. From the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street. Now, that is a hell of a climb that she went into. And everybody, I want you to sit back and let's take this ride.
Robin C. Cottingham, Executive Vice President, Key Bank N.A., retired, Cleveland, Ohio. Robin C. Cottingham is a former Executive Vice President and Chief Operational Risk Officer of Key's Risk Management Group and Key's Executive Council. She was responsible for administering the Operational Risk Program for Key and retired on September 1st, 2017, after a 38-year career in financial services, all with Key Bank. Robin joined Society Bank, a predecessor of Key Bank, as a management trainee and held positions of increasing responsibility throughout her career, including compliance and operational risk officer supporting the corporate bank risk information security and control officer, Chief Administration Officer, and Director of Corporate Product Management with Global Treasury Management, Director of Quality Management for Key Bank N.A., and District Market Leader of the Community Banking Group for the Greater Cleveland District and Management Training. Robin is a native Clevelander and grew up in the Glenville neighborhood. She is a product of Cleveland Public Schools, Joseph F. Landis Elementary, Luladale Junior High, and John Hay High School. She attended Baldwin Wallace University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Finance and Executive Masters of Business Administration, respectively. Robin is a graduate of Key's Executive Experience at Weatherhead Program and is an alumnus of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Kappa Chapter. Robin's community involvement includes the following: Board and Executive Community Member of United Way of Greater Cleveland and Chair of the United Way's Community Impact Cabinet, Chair Emeritus of the Hiram College Board of Visitors, Baldwin Wallace College Board of Trustees, Executive Committee Member and Chair of the Governance and Trustee Committee, and Emeritus Board Member of the Maxine Goodman Levine College of Urban Affairs Visiting Committee. Former board affiliations include board member of the Thomas White Foundation, board member of the Keith Scott Trust, past chair of the Center for Community Solutions Board of Directors, Boy Scouts of America, Greater Cleveland Council, Vice President, Executive Committee, and Chair of the Relationship Division, and the Institute for Educational Renewal. Robin is a Certified Regulatory Compliance Manager, CRCM, and has received numerous awards, including Southern Christian Leadership Excellence in Corporate Business Award, United Way of Greater Cleveland's 2014 Volunteer of the Year Award, induction into the Hiram College Garfield Society, YMCA Women of Professional Excellence Award, 2012 Northeast Ohio African American Library Culture Center, NOAALCC Spotlight Honoree, African American Family Pioneers and Trailblazers Award, the Southern Christian Leadership Excellence in Service Award, Kaleidoscope 4040 Club, and the City Year Cleveland Community Champion Award. Robin is an active member of the Greater Abyssinia Church in Cleveland and enjoys singing, reading, and spending quality time with her family. Congratulations on your retirement.
Welcome YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook Live. As I said earlier, you thought I was joking. We have a icon of the financial world with us today, sitting here out of the blue room in Studio 51. Welcome, Robin Carol Howard, the only black woman who held a position of VP at a bank here in America. Tone the Stone, bring her on in here with us. We want to hear what you got to say.
Thank you, Chanel. Thank you very much. Wow, I was going to say that was a long introduction, to get the show started, but I guess we need such a grand introduction for such a grand guest.
One of
icon,
Cleveland's own,
icon
Facebook.
with such a long list of accolades. So once again, Robin, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure, it's an honor for you to join us.
Thank you. I'm real excited about the opportunity.
Okay. Well, after listening to your long list of accomplishments and titles and certifications and accolades and stuff like that, we got all of that serious business out the way. Now we're going to get to, before we start asking you some questions or just kind of digging into your history and your background and just hearing what you got to say about certain things, we're going to ask you the pressing questions that the listeners of Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 Radio are dying to know about you, as they are about all of our guests that come on the show. And these are the type of things that people around the world are just genuinely interested in, first and foremost. So we're going to put you on the hot seat with 10 questions.
All right.
We want the first thing that comes to your head. We're expecting you to give us an answer within 3 to 5 seconds without having to think about it too hard. Okay? Nothing, it shouldn't be too challenging for you. So, you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Stop the Madness. Here we go. Robin Cottingham, Howard Cottingham, on the hot seat on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 Radio with Tone the Stone. Oh, my God.
Don't get nervous, Tone. Don't get nervous now.
Oh, that's Missy interrupted my. Okay. All right, I'm sorry about that. So, question number 1. What's the best color in the world?
Red.
Okay. Name your top 3 hip-hop artists.
Hip-hop artist. I don't know if I know hip-hop artists.
R&B.
That might not be my general.
You got to be able to name at least 3 hip-hop artists.
All I know, Biggie Smalls. I don't know, P. Diddy. Was he hip-hop?
Yeah, that counts. That counts.
I don't know.
Okay, that's 2 out of 3. We'll come back. We'll give you some time to think about that third
We'll
one.
give her a break.
Now,
Wait a minute.
Now, I know it was hard for her to name 3 hip-hop artists because she's all about the women of soul. You listen to the
Motown. I'm a
Motown.
child of the 60s
R&B,
and 70s.
R&B.
R&B.
Well, I was under the impression that the women of soul, Patty, Aretha, such and such, those were your preference. So let's cut to that. If you could only listen to one of these women of soul for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Aretha.
Aretha. Okay. Coffee or tea?
T.
Gangster movie or love story?
Gangster movie.
Okay. Are you a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian,
I'm a meat eater.
meat eater? Never considered or never will consider vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian?
No, I'm a meat eater for life.
Meat eater for life. Nothing wrong with that. Better way to travel the world, private jet or sailing?
Private jet.
Okay. What's the number 1 thing on your bucket list right now?
Swimming lessons.
Swimming lesson? You don't know how to swim either?
I don't know how to swim.
I'm a Pisces, and I know how to swim. I taught myself how to swim when I was living in California, but only in like 5 to 6 feet of water. Have you ever or would you ever go skydiving?
No, I have not, and I would not.
Okay, and last but not least, if you had a face-to-face sit-down with Donald Trump, what's the first thing you would want to say to him?
Quit.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Robin Cottingham on the hot seat with 10 pressing questions that everybody wants to know. Okay, Robin, so now we're going to get into the more in-depth part of the interview, going back to your upbringing and your life experiences. So I guess starting with you being an icon of the city of Cleveland, a Cleveland native born and raised in the Glenville community, what's your most valuable memory or experience? Valuable meaning what you think has grounded you and meant the most to you throughout your life experiences, both personal and career, from growing up in the Glenville community.
Well, I grew up in the Glenville community during the Glenville riots, and we had National Guards on our corner. And I believe that shaped me to understand that you don't want to be part of the system, and that it's important to figure out how to manage things so that you're not caught up on the wrong side of the system. You learned a lot when you were on your front porch with National Guards and your street, how to channel your anger and how to find a positive way to speak up for what you believe in, and how you make positive change. I think that probably shaped me, those
Definitely.
memories.
That seems like something you would never be able to forget. You know, especially if a child you seeing something like
Yeah.
that, something you might only think you only see in the movies or something like that. Okay. So in the intro, it mentioned that you went at Baldwin Wallace, you got a business of arts and finance. So did you kind of always know that you were going to pursue a career in finance?
Oh, absolutely not. I want to be a math teacher, and when I went to college, that first math course was a lot more challenging than I thought. The other thing, I thought I didn't have the temperament to teach. My mom was in banking, and I thought I'd go into business and maybe go into banking, and that's what I did. Um,
Fell in love with it?
I don't think initially I fell in love with banking, but when I first started as a management trainee, and there were so many opportunities in financial services, and I had, in that 38 years that I had with Key, I had about 10 jobs. So it was as if I was always doing something different and more challenging.
Okay.
I think financial services is a fantastic area for anyone to be in. And I did love my career.
It's great that you mentioned that you think it's fantastic for people to pursue. Obviously, it's one of those things that's never going anywhere. You know, banking and the financial aspect of our society is going to be around to the world extinguishes. But I have another question, you know, that kind of relates to that. Okay. So did you find it more challenging being black or being a woman in your line of work?
I think initially I felt it more challenging being a black person. When I went into the company, I was in areas where we didn't have many black people, and the customers weren't very happy with the fact that I was an African American in the neighborhood. Um, what I will tell you is that talent wins over any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, when the clients understood that I could meet their needs, I could provide financial advice, I could service them, they kind of looked beyond what they could see. So I think initially it was because I was a minority, and then you are always challenged in the corporate world being a female as well.
So you, as far as the clients go, you impressed them enough to change their mind, and then hopefully even change their heart, help them have a change of heart to be more decent and accepting people.
You did. It took time. I think it was a good 8 months in my first assignment before the clients would even come and talk to me. It was so funny because they would not come to me, and they'd go to the other folks in the branch who were white, and because I had learned so much, they would have to come and ask me the questions to be able to answer for the client.
Right.
I think the clients finally realized they were standing in line and my desk was empty. The manager I had, because the clients wouldn't come to me, then taught me everything else that I needed to know about lending and credit and everything. So I was learning things about commercial paper, about commercial loans, and those kind of things, because clients would not come to me because I was black.
Mm. They had to learn the hard way. They could have saved a bunch of time if they would just.
They could have. But I will tell you, before I left the community banking piece, the clients, as I said, when they realize that you can serve them and help them, they look beyond that. And I adored them, and they adored me by the time this was over.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So in your 30 plus, I think it was 38 years.
38.
38 years, and your 38 years of working in finance and in banking, what was your greatest motivating force? You said at first you didn't fall in love with it. What was the motivating force that kept you to persevering to stay with it for 38 years?
So I really believe the work that you do is not who you are. It's how you are able to provide for the living and the life that you want. And so the motivation is I believe in delivering excellence and doing a good job at whatever I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had goals. I had children. I wanted to be able to provide for them. I wanted a certain standard of living. I wanted to be able to give to my church and give to the community. And that job helped me do that. I wanted to be able to help pull other people up and develop skills in other people. That job allowed me to do that. And so the most fulfilling part is the ability to help develop and grow skills and help other people come along while you're able to then benefit yourself as well, because I was able to make a decent living and able to retire at
A young
at the age that I wanted to retire at as I set my goals.
Still a young person. So that job enabled you to help others.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you said that you mentioned your children in answering that last question. What was the tougher job? Presiding over operational risk and risk management, or raising children?
Oh, raising children by far. Um, rocket Financial services is not rocket science. There's not anything going on in banking or financial services that you cannot learn. If you are trained and you read and you continue to grow your skills. Children aren't an open book because they're individuals and they will do whatever they're doing, and you have to figure out how to help them along so that they can be productive members of society.
They'll shock you every
and
day.
They absolutely will, even when they're adults.
Right. I know I shock my mother on a regular basis growing up, but hey, that's what being a child is for, maybe. Okay, so what did you find to be the most difficult aspect of risk management?
Well, risk management was not difficult. I tell you what I found to be difficult as I worked through my career for 38 years. I told you I was a child of the 60s and 70s, a very militant time in our country's history. And so I had to learn how not to be angry and how not to strike out, because in business, your ability to grow your career and move is all about the relationships that you build. It doesn't necessarily you can have the most talent. You can be the most talented individual ever. But if you haven't been able to build relationships in a positive way so that you can have advocates and people that are interested in seeing you grow and achieve, you will not grow and achieve those things that you want to grow. So I had to learn how to not be the angry black girl that I was, quite honestly, coming out of the 60s and being defensive and striking back when I felt that someone had kind of stepped over the line. And I think you learn that, and as a result, you're able to achieve some things. And then I'm able to lead people, and then I'm running the department, and I'm running the groups, and I'm able to hire and bring people along. You can't do that if you can't figure out how to get past the anger and defensiveness. And so I think that was the hardest thing for me over the time.
That's a really valuable lesson. You know, we're all products of our environment and products of our generation. So for you, it was the 60s, 70s. Me, the 80s, 90s, I was a young guy running around too, you know, in the Glenville neighborhood, you know, running around with a group of other mad guys. So that was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, you know, how to channel my anger and how to make better use of it, make be productive with my anger instead of being, you know, detrimental and a troublemaker. So that's a very valuable lesson that it benefits anybody to learn as soon as possible, as early on in life as possible, because we're all going to get mad. There's always something to be mad about in society. Okay, so what advice do you have for any young adults coming out of Glenville or any similar neighborhood community around the country, around the world, in regards to going after their dreams or pursuing a career in a competitive, strict industry like banking and finance, let's start with banking and finance, and not necessarily that specific industry, but an industry that's competitive and strict, heavily regulated like that?
So I would tell any young person, especially our young people coming out of whatever inner city or urban neighborhoods that you're coming out of, is that you have such potential. And who you are in your neighborhood or what you did or your past does not dictate what your future will be. And if you take the time to set goals, because I think it's really important, you have to kind of think about where you want to be. And you may not pinpoint it exactly. You might have some idea of what you might like. I tell you to not be afraid to take risk. We all have to take a risk. And what's the worst that can happen? I will fail. You cannot learn if you've not failed once or twice. And failure is not always bad, and it's not always detrimental. So I would tell you, don't be afraid to set goals and achieve those. And you can do anything. You know, I always said, who thought this little girl from 105th of Glenville would be an executive vice president in the 14th largest bank in this nation? I didn't even see that. But what I did know is that if you keep reaching for the goals, you know, put it at the stars, you may land on the moon, but you'll be so much further ahead. So don't be afraid to take risk. Prepare yourself. You've got to work hard if you want things. Nothing comes without hard work. And you may not always get the opportunity that you're looking for, but then another opportunity will present itself. And I think you have to stay positive and just keep going after the goal and stay focused and don't let anyone distract you.
Definitely. Like you said, you know, even if you fail, that experience is going to go with you for the rest of your life. It's something valuable that you'll be able to take from it, no matter what you end up getting to in life. Okay. Now, that was career goals, career advice, financial advice for these young generation XYZers with access to so much capital in the world.
Facebook, money.
So much capital in the world nowadays. You know, there's more access to it than ever, I imagine. What's your financial advice for these young kids?
So financial advice, and everybody's heard it. First of all, if you've got some money, whatever you earn, make sure that you put some away for a rainy day. So you put some in your savings, at least 15%. You should be saving at least 15%.
Okay.
Put it away, okay? And then put away some money for your rainy day fund, okay? So don't spend it all. You have to make sure that you take care of it. It's critically important to take care of your credit. It is so important. I can't tell you that. It will follow you for the rest of your life. Then I will tell you for when
Good credit, Facebook.
when you join a company and the companies have 401k plans that they're matching, that's free money for you. So if you give $1, you save $1 and your company matches $1, that's 100% return. Take advantage of that. $25 a month in an account, you'll look up and you'll have $10,000 of dollars, $30,000, $40,000, and you won't even miss it. So make sure that you put money aside in your savings. It's critically important to save for a rainy day and to save for retirement. And so do any matching that your company allows you to do. Take advantage of it. That's your money immediately. Start immediately. I always found that if I got a raise and I put away 10% of that automatically, I never missed it because I never had it in the first place.
Right.
And so you look up and you've got enough money to do with what you want. You got enough money to retire. You've got enough money to travel. But most importantly, you have enough money for retirement. Which is critically important. So take advantage of those opportunities. Always put away some money for yourself. Don't spend it all.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. You heard Robin say, save your money.
Facebook Live,
have a little
YouTube.
cushion. Have a little comfort and security for the long run. I got a couple more questions though. Hold on, but I just wanted to emphasize that.
Well,
point.
hold on for a minute, Tony. So, because everybody in the chat room is here, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Robin, they want to know. We got some big financiers right here. What was your main job? You got risk management. Did you pick out the investments and tell them this one's going to make us money? Is this risky? We're going to lose money? Or explain that to us how that works.
So risk management and the role in financial services, which is the role in medical and energy, wherever you have a risk management group, is to make sure that the company is following the rules of those regulators that we have, so you're not getting in trouble. So the products that we develop, so if we develop a loan product, yes, our team would look at that and say whether or not this was too risky for our company, did it meet our strategic plan, or it fell within our plan. Now, as we deliver it, are we ensuring that we are following the rules and that it is the right thing for the customer, and so that we are not disenfranchising the client as well? And so we would look at those, and you would tell business if they wanted to bring something to market that wasn't fair, that you can't do that. That's not fair. That's against the law. It's against regulation. It's not ethical. Or here are the things that we need to do to it to make it meet the regulation, or to ensure that we are thinking client first. At our company, and most financial services companies do, they are very focused on ensuring that the customer, the buying customer, gets what they want. Buying customers have so much leverage. You can't imagine how much leverage you really do have. The problem is that when things aren't going right, buying customers think that it's that person they're talking to right then and there is who they should be addressing. I tell you, when it's not going right, write the president, write the chairman of the board. You will get results. It's not the person that's in front of you. They're following the rules as they understand them. So you just go right on up above them and speak to the person in charge.
So at Key Bank, your job was to ensure that the customer was treated and made money and was treated fairly, instead of the stockholders and the bank president, right?
So my job was for all of those, because if we treated the client appropriately and the client bought our product and service, we were going to make money, we'll make a profit, we have a good return to shareholders, and then we don't have any regulatory issues or anything like that. So at the end of the day, if you're treating the client right, everyone benefits.
Now we got a question. We're gonna go into the chat room. Give me a minute, Tony Stone, because
No
we got it
problem.
right here.
No problem.
In the chat room on Facebook Live, they want to know, how do you get people to move beyond savings accounts where they're losing their money?
Well, they aren't losing their money in savings accounts because it's guaranteed, and so you can't lose. When you lose part of your principal, meaning you invest $100 and you look up and you only have $90 now, is in the market. So when I'm investing in stocks and equities. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure you have a diverse portfolio, because the stock market moves ups and downs, right? So sometimes the stock portfolio is going to go well, and sometimes your bond portfolio is going to go well. If you have it diversified, so you have it balanced across those, when one's going up, one's going down, you do have to pay attention to the market, or you want to make sure that your funds are in what's called a managed fund that's already balanced. So when you invest, the chances that you'll lose funds are very slim. But when the market drops, you can lose funds. When the market dropped in 2007, most of us lost 50% of our 401ks because we didn't have it balanced, because you could only invest in your company's stock. After that, it changed, and we were able to diversify, and the markets came back. So the only thing I'll tell you, what most investment advisors will tell you, and I'm not an investment professional, I'm a banking professional and risk professional, but investment professionals will tell you that you have to think long-term, because investment is a long-term game. If you want to make sure you don't lose any money, then you would be in a savings account where your interest rate is guaranteed for that period. It's probably lower than what you'd get in the market. And the other thing that I would remind everyone, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. We're in a 1-2% market right now, and in an investment portfolio, probably a 5% return is pretty good right now. And if someone's offering you double-digit returns in a 5% market, I would tell you that there's something fishy going on, and you probably should not be investing with that individual.
In your experience, did you find people more skeptical of investors, investment personnel, or bankers, or equally skeptical?
I think investment personnel, because you're banking, if you're in a traditional banking investment, a savings account, a checking account, certificate of deposit, those funds are guaranteed by the U.S. government.
Okay.
So you will not lose that money. In investments, those funds are not guaranteed. If you're in stocks and bonds and things, it is not guaranteed. And so when the market drops, it's a game of chance that you've taken. So your funds are not guaranteed. So, and investments, most people find a little more challenging to understand. That's why you probably should have a very seasoned investment advisor and make sure that, I would say make sure that you're managing your money with that advice, not
Right.
that you're giving your money over
Right.
to someone to have control over.
Right. Okay, I got a couple more questions for you. Earlier, you said you wanted to be a teacher first.
Yeah.
Math teacher?
Math teacher.
Okay. If you could go back 38, 40 years and start all over from scratch, what would your ideal career choice be to pursue other than banking and finance and other than a teacher?
Oh, God, I was going to tell you, I want to be an investment banker because then you make millions of dollars a year. But if I can't be in financial services, if I absolutely cannot, I do think it would be somehow in teaching and educating and helping people grow their skills.
So if you could go back and scratch the question, if you could go back, you would still go banking, but you would just go
I
investment
absolutely,
banking.
I would go into
what
banking
you
and
know
I would
now.
be an investment banker.
Matter of fact, tell us about investment banking. What is that
So
where we
in-
can make millions? Facebook,
Yeah.
I want you to listen up to this. She said you can make millions of dollars a year. YouTube Live, welcome LA. ATL's in the house, San Francisco and Savannah.
And we
Hey,
want our cut,
Gerald,
too.
what's up? Now, we're talking to right now to an icon in the financial world, Robin C. Cottingham. She was the only black female vice president at any bank here in America. She's from Cleveland, Ohio, out of the Glenville neighborhood, from the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street. And we rapping with her today. Stay with us and come on in and listen to that. Robin, tell us about being an investment banker.
So investment bankers are the people, and they aren't a banker. It's an investment company, and some of them are part of banks. So we have an investment banking arm at Key. We had, and most large banks do. But they are the group that helps you buy and sell companies, right? So when people are putting IPOs up and selling their company or buying companies, these are the folks that do all the research and help you understand to buy that company or what you can sell that company for, and they get a percentage of that activity when they're doing that. They help with bond issues and those kind of things. They work extremely hard. I mean, the hours are crazy. Young trainees that are investment banking are probably working 15, 20-hour days. They probably never stop. But those folks make uh, even in our small organization, like Key, that was they probably are making $3-4 million a year. In a large bank like the big money center banks, they're probably making 3 times that. It's hard work.
Now, out of the chat room, hold on, Tony Stone. I know I don't want me to cut you off, but out of the chat room on Facebook Live, they want to know what degrees do you need to be an investment banker or get into the investment.
So here's the great thing about financial services. All you need is your college degree, and it could be in English, it could be in business, you could whatever you're majoring, because when you join the company, they will train you, and mostly they always have training programs. They call them analyst programs where you learn, or management training programs, and the bank will train you on what you need to know. And if you have the aptitude, because it does, and the desire to achieve, you'll look up and you'll be that investment banker that's making millions of dollars.
Would you say investment banker, for the great payoff that they get, is it, even with all the hard work that they do, you said 15, 20 hours a day, is it a great payoff like that with the least risk as compared to the people who are actually buying and selling the companies, or they have the minimal risk with such a great payoff like that?
Well, the company has the risk. If you're not good at your trade, people will know that, and then they won't use you, right? They won't leverage you to help them. So if your investment banking group is not very good, meaning they've counseled you and said buy this, or here's where you can sell it at, and you do, and you're not making money, then they're not going to use you. So there's you have reputation risk, and all investment companies are ranked just as all banks are ranked, but companies are ranked to say who's the best and who isn't. But if you're good, if you're really good, our group was very good and very niched with middle market companies. If you're very good, you you do well, trust me, they do very well.
In the last several years, before you retired, would you say with this technology sector industry boom, has it been crazy? Like the investment bank and these companies, has that been the craziest?
The tech
you've seen?
sector had its boom, but now alternative energy sector is
Okay.
where the boom really is going,
Okay.
because we've got to in the country, right, change, and the alternative energy is really taking off.
Okay.
Tech will always be there. Alternative energy is where there's a lot of
Okay.
activity currently.
Arizona's in the house. What's up, D. Willis? Out on Facebook Live, out in the city of Phoenix. We got Phoenix in the house, and we welcome you. And the question is this: that coming out of the chat room, Tony Stone, because we got the chat room really jumping right now. Do people need good credit to get the job, even if they have the degrees that you want?
Absolutely. So most companies, not just financial services organizations, do background checks. And in banking, you have to be bonded to work there. If you have criminal background or your credit isn't good, you cannot be bonded. Most companies do, even after the initial background check, periodically they do background checks on you. Our company did them about every 3 years or so. And if there were things going on with your credit, they could terminate you. So I can't tell people how critical their credit is, not just for their job, but for them to be able to buy a house, to buy a car, to do the things that you want to do in life. But yes, credit's critically important.
Especially for the job. I mean, you can't handle other people's money if you can't manage your own money. So.
Facebook Live also want to know which alternative energy program is growing the fastest. So they looking to invest their money. Ain't that right? Facebook want to invest
Well, now,
their money.
I don't know, so you're probably going to have to do your research there because I'm not an investment banker to tell you which of those were. For a while, it were the windmills, and then, it was the solar panels. But I tell you to do some research on alternative energy, and you'll see which of those stocks and which of those are taking off.
Now, Russell Wilkins out in L.A. sitting in rush hour traffic on YouTube Live in the chat room. He wants to know, you said that the bank trained you. Is that part of the key executive experience training program? Or he wants to know what program that to look for?
So I was a management trainee when I first started, and so I joined the management training program. The key executive program was actually a program for continuing to develop and train executives. And so throughout my career and throughout most companies, but at Key, you are always learning and training. When I got the CRCM that was referenced in the intro, it was because I went into risk management. And I would tell you, of the 10 jobs I had at the company, I didn't train for any of them. So I didn't know those jobs when I went into them. And then I went out and I took all the training that I could so I could learn the trade. And so when you start, you're probably, if you're going into a company out of college, you're either going to join a management training program or an analyst program or branch training program. They call them specific names.
I think the lesson there is you have to have confidence in yourself. You don't need to have the experience or the training or the background. If you have the confidence in your ability to learn it, you can do whatever you want to do. That's amazing, that you said you all of those things. You had basically no experience and no clue going in and look at the levels you rose to. That's excellent. That's
Facebook
excellent.
Live, welcome. I want to let you know we're talking to Robin Carroll Cunningham, a product of the Cleveland Public Schools, graduate and alumni of John Hay High School, right out of the Glenville area, from East 105 and South Boulevard, from the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street, and she's giving us some financial advice. She's an icon in the financial world, the only black woman to hold a vice president position at a major financial institution in the United States. That means America. There's nobody following her, and there was nobody there before her. And she's here with us tonight on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. Thank you all for joining us. Coming up in here, Orlando LTL is in the house. And Robin, we want to know something right here coming out of the YouTube chat room. They want to know, of all the times that you was going there and it went back into your long list of about 22 board members you are on, which board do you like the best?
United Way of Greater Cleveland. I think it's between that and Baldwin Wallace, because I'm a trustee at Baldwin Wallace University, which is my alma mater. and then United Way of Greater Cleveland, because you really are helping those that really need the help. It's a safety net, and so I chair the impact committee. We determine the funds that we raise, how we allocate those out to nonprofit organizations that need the funding, and I think that is probably the most rewarding. I would say United Way.
How many hours did you sleep a day for the last 38 years?
Well, I really needed 8 hours, but I've never gotten 8 hours because I was at my desk at 6 in the morning every morning, and you work till 6 or 6:30, 7 o'clock. Some nights you'd work till 9 because there was work to do. And so 5 hours maybe or so.
So Facebook Live chat room, in the chat room, they want to talk about getting savings accounts for their grandchildren. So they want to know, what are the best type to get instead of the Christmas Club account that comes around every year? What should they be looking for, and what should they be opening up?
So they should just go open a basic savings account. They'll open it as custodial account, so you'll need a tax ID number for or Social Security number for your grandchild, and just go open up the basic savings account. The rates are going to go up soon. The Fed's supposed to raise rates soon, so we'll get back to the the nice interest rates on savings accounts. But what's more important than what it's paying is to teach your grandchild how to save. And so when you give them their allowance or they do some work around the house, you tell them if you give them $1, then 15% of that has to go in their savings account, or 20% in the savings account before they spend it all, so that they will get used to putting money aside and savings, and then they'll see it growing. But just a basic savings account should work fine.
So if they're
Wait a minute, hold on for 1 minute. Tony Stone, San Francisco is tied in with us. Welcome, San Francisco, to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We have Laurel Crown in the house with us. Also, you need to check out her book tonight. For our affiliate sisters stations tying in with us, we are talking to Robin Carol Cottingham, an icon in the financial market. She's from the city of Cleveland. She's a product of the Cleveland Public Schools. If you didn't hear us kick it in earlier, go back and hear it on demand in SoundCloud, Mixcloud. We will post it to YouTube. And she's now giving us financial information to better ourselves. So, Robin, let me ask you this one question right here. You're a graduate of Baldwin Wallace. You stayed in the area and you graduated from Baldwin Wallace. And you went on their board also. So what sororities are you a member of?
So I was a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the Kappa Kappa chapter, which was the chapter on the campus of Baldwin Wallace. So that's the only sorority I am. I'm a Delta.
Oh, Delta. So let me ask you this. You've been on so many boards, and you love American Red Cross. I think that's the one you said. United Way.
United Way.
United Way. For people who wants to start getting into charity and start with all the disasters that's going on, the earthquake and the hurricanes, which is the best one to give to? Is it United Way?
Well, the one thing I would tell you, that you either give to your United Way in the area where you are, because they'll make sure the funds get there, or the Red Cross. You've got to be very careful of giving to organizations that just pop up and say that they want to send funds over. Some of the things you want to really understand when you're giving to organizations is how much money do they spend on their own expenses. So, most charities, if they're like United Way, spends like 15 cents on a dollar for overhead. The rest goes. Some organizations may be spending 50 cents or more. You need to understand that to make sure, because what you really want is you want your the donation that you give to really reach those that in need. So, I would be giving it to United Way, or I would be giving directly to Red Cross. I would not be giving to anyone else. And there's a lot of churches and other organizations that are gathering the money from their members. And when they do, they should be sending those directly to the Red Cross, but not some new organization that's just popped up.
like United Way or the Red Cross is a safe bet. As long as you make sure you're giving it to your local chapter.
That's correct.
Right.
And don't forget, for those that are employed, if you give a donation, your company may match that. And so a matching gift will help increase the value of those funds that are being sent off.
Out of the chat room, Tone the Stone, they want to know from Robin, what is the best way to build your credit up for a startup business?
So startup businesses are kind of tough because you got to have some funds to even get it started, right? You'll continue to build your credit if you get a small loan and you pay that back. There are some equity investors that will invest in your business, and that investment banking group that we talked about will help put you in touch with equity investors. But you'll have to make sure that you're paying your bills and your debt. It's critically important. It's the only way that businesses enhance their credit, and it's the only way we as individuals do so as well.
So your personal credit has to be in order before you even think about getting any type of
Oh,
your
absolutely.
business.
Because most individuals will have to personally guarantee whatever you're doing for your business.
Right. Going back to the savings account for grandchildren or just kids in general, is that because it's a savings account you can put it in their name? Because I thought a few years ago somebody went to the bank to try to get their teenage kids like an account, and it may have been checking, but they said they couldn't put their name on the account because they were
It
minors.
was probably checking
Okay.
or a credit card because you have to be 18 to sign a contract.
Okay.
The savings account, the child doesn't have the right to draw.
Okay.
You're the custodian for them, but
Okay.
it's in their name. And technically at 18, you're supposed to turn it over to them because
Okay.
now they're of age.
Okay.
But
Okay. So retired after 38 years. What are you doing with all your free time now?
I don't think I've had free time yet, but there are a number of things that I've already planned to do, and swimming, as I told you, is one of them.
Okay.
And I'll have a number of other things on my thing. I will keep a couple boards, so I am staying active in United Way and active as a Baldwin Wallace trustee and active on the Levin College board, so that I can make sure that there's a higher purpose than myself, so I don't get so caught up in Robin being retired. So that and my church and things, I'll have enough to keep me busy.
You sound like a selfless person, a very selfless person. Like not only your career, but your family and the boards and everything that you do for the community, and just and being generous and giving back and helping other people. Like it seems like you can't, even though now that you're retired, you couldn't get it out your system if you wanted to. Like it's just something that you're gonna keep with you until you pass on.
I believe that God gives it back to you tenfold. And the more you give, the more that comes back to you. It's, as I said, I've had so much opportunity coming out of Glenville. Who would have thought that I would have had the opportunity that I had? And I had tremendous opportunity. You can't help but give back when God has been so generous and gracious in giving so much.
Well, thank you for being such a generous person. Thank you for being such a wonderful person. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not gonna let you get away. You probably thought I forgot. You named 2 hip hop artists earlier, and the question was to name 3.
3.
Your 3 top. Now I'm gonna take it that these aren't your 3 top because you having a hard time coming up with any names, but we still need a 3rd name.
I don't know. I don't know any.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna do one better for you. I'm gonna do one better for you. I ain't gonna be like Tony Stone. Give us 3 R&B right now.
That's
Any
too easy.
year. That's okay.
That's
We're
too
gonna let her off the
Any
hook
year?
right there.
Okay, any year. So we already said Aretha Franklin,
Right.
the Temptations, the Manhattans, which were my favorite. Stylistics, they gave you 4. Whitney, which was fabulous.
Facebook
was
Live, YouTube. We are in Studio 51 out of the Blue Room with an icon from the financial world, Robin Carol Cunningham. You need to check this out and check out her bios and listen to the things she's done. She's a product of the city of Cleveland. She came from the Cleveland Public Schools, off the streets of Cleveland in the Glenville neighborhood to the streets of Wall Street, and made history as the only black female vice president at any major banking institution here in America. We are really blessed to have her in studio with us today. We are blessed that she's on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We ask you to go back and listen to this show and get it on demand at SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and YouTube. LA, stay with us. Robin, thank you very much for coming into the studio with us. We really appreciate you being here today. This is a really, really great time for us. And hey, we have anything you'd like to say to our audience before you leave?
Now, I just want to thank you for having me on the show and the audience for listening to my story, and just keep encouraging our young people. There's so much possibilities out there for them, and good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Do you want to share your Facebook page or anything if anybody wants to reach out to you or, you know?
No, I don't think I'll say
No.
much. I am on LinkedIn, however, so.
Okay.
We're going right here. We got to go pay some bills, and we'll be right back.